Good evening. New tonight, Phoenix police say a date gone wrong led to a man being run over and killed. Thanks for joining us. For 12 News at 10, I'm Mark Curtis.
And I'm Kadiba Devine. Documents say that the two met on a dating app where the victim picked the suspect up just hours before his death.
The car was his. The date was supposed to be simple. And by the end of the night, the woman he picked up used his own vehicle to end his life and then drove away. Let me tell you something. This story right here is the kind that makes you put your phone down and just sit with it for a minute. Because Norris Taft did everything a lot of us do. He was out here trying to meet somebody. He matched with a woman on a dating app. He made plans, he showed up. And within a few hours of that first date, he was gone. Gone. And the woman he picked up. She was found 4 days later, sitting at a Denny's. We are going to get into every single detail of what happened that afternoon in Phoenix, Arizona, because this story deserves to be told right. Norris Taft was 52 years old. He lived in the Bridgewater Apartments in Phoenix, and by all accounts, he was just a regular man living his life. He had a daughter named Brianna Fallon. He had a nephew he was close enough to text when things felt off. He had people who loved him. Like a lot of people these days, Norris was using dating apps to meet someone. The app he was on was called Moco Space, and that is where he connected with a woman named Michaela Bahi. Michaela was 30 years old. She had a 6-year-old daughter. Her mother lived up in Flagstaff, about 2 hours north of Phoenix. On the surface, she was just another person on an app, putting herself out there like everybody else. They matched, they talked, and Norris agreed to meet her in person. That decision would cost him his life. The day everything went wrong started like a regular Sunday afternoon. Norris drove out to pick Michaela up from a nearby Dunkin' Donuts. That was the plan. He would get her. They would spend some time together. Simple as that. Except from the very beginning, something felt wrong to him. The moment he saw her face, he knew. The woman standing in front of him did not look like the person in the photos on her profile. Not even close. Norris had been catfished, and he knew it right away. Now, here is the part that is going to stay with you. Instead of just dropping her off and going home, Norris did something that a lot of people would do. He tried to handle it gracefully. He didn't want to make a scene. He texted his nephew and told him what was going on. He told his family that he had been catfished and that he was trying to end the date and get her back to wherever she needed to go. Make it make sense. He was trying to be decent about it. But before he could get her home, the two of them ended up making a few stops together. They went to a marijuana dispensary. They stopped at a Shell gas station. And then, at some point, they ended up back at the Bridgewater Apartments, Norris's own home. Moving on, because this is where things took a turn. Court documents say that over 2 hours passed from the time they got back to the apartment complex. 2 hours. And then the surveillance cameras at the complex picked up something. They captured a woman, later identified as Michaela Bahi, coming down the stairs from the apartment building and walking directly toward a black SUV parked in the lot. That SUV belonged to Norris Taft. She got in. Norris must have seen what was happening because he came into that parking lot. And what he did next. It tells you everything about the kind of man he was. He did not run. He did not call out from a distance. He walked directly in front of his own vehicle and held his arms out toward it. He was not threatening her. He was not attacking her. He was standing in front of his own car with his arms out, trying to get her to stop. Prosecutors described it clearly. The victim was in front of the vehicle with his hands up. She hit the gas. The SUV struck Norris Taft head-on. He fell to the ground, and the car dragged him underneath it. Period. There is no softer way to say that. The man was run over and dragged by his own vehicle in the parking lot of his own apartment complex, while trying to stop someone from taking what was his. She drove away and left him there. Emergency services rushed Norris to a local hospital. He did not survive. Norris Taft was pronounced dead. His daughter, Brianna Fallon, described what she believed happened in a way that was raw and heartbreaking. Talking with the person who owns the apartment complex he was at, it was really clear that she was trying to steal his car, and he ran after her and she hit him and then just left. Anyways, let that land for a second. He ran after her. She hit him, and she just left. Now, Phoenix police had a crime scene. They had a dead man. They had surveillance footage. And they had a suspect who was nowhere to be found. The black SUV, Norris Taft's vehicle, was still missing too. Police put out the information that the car was outstanding, meaning it had not been recovered. Whoever drove away from that parking lot had taken a dead man's car and vanished into the night. But here is the thing about surveillance cameras. They do not forget. Investigators pulled footage not just from the Bridgewater apartments, but from Sky Harbor International Airport the very next day. And what they found on that footage told them exactly where Michaela Bahi went after she left Norris dying in that parking lot. She went to the airport, not to turn herself in, not to find help. She walked into Sky Harbor and boarded a groomed transportation van, a shuttle, headed to Flagstaff. 2 hours north, up into what locals call the high country. Oh, so now she is on a shuttle, comfortable, while Norris Taft's family is just now learning that he is dead. See, here is what makes this part so hard to sit with. While investigators were piecing together what happened, Norris's daughter Brianna was getting the worst phone call of her life. She said she had only just been made aware of the details surrounding her father's death, and still did not fully know who Michaela Bahi even was. She told reporters, "I still don't know who it is. I don't know how they met. I don't know their relationship at all." That is a daughter finding out her father was killed by a stranger from a dating app, and she does not even have the full picture yet. Moving on, because investigators were moving fast. Police knew Michaela had gone to Flagstaff, and they had a strong lead on why. Her mother lived there, and her 6-year-old daughter was there too, staying with that grandmother. So Flagstaff was not a random destination. That was where she ran to when everything fell apart. With the help of the Flagstaff Police Department, Phoenix investigators started tracking her movements. They knew she was in the area. They just had to find her. It took 4 days. 4 days after Norris Taft was run down and dragged under his own vehicle in his own parking lot, law enforcement located Michaela Bahi. Not at a hotel, not at her mother's house. They found her sitting at a Denny's restaurant in Flagstaff on a Wednesday afternoon. Like a Denny's. Flagstaff police moved in and placed her under arrest right there. No dramatic chase, no standoff. Just a woman sitting at a restaurant booth, 4 days after a man lost his life at her hands. When investigators sat down with Michaela Bahi, she gave them a story that raised more questions than it answered. She said she remembered being with Norris. She acknowledged that much. But she told them she could not remember anything that happened between the time they left the dispensary and when she woke up the next morning. Everything in between. Gone. That entire window of time, including the moment Norris Taft was struck and killed in that parking lot. She claimed she had no memory of any of it. But hey, the surveillance cameras remembered. Prosecutors were not moved by the memory claim. They had footage from the apartment complex that captured the defendant getting into that SUV. They had footage showing the vehicle accelerating forward while Norris stood in front of it with his arms raised. And that footage, according to prosecutors, showed her pressing the gas even harder as he tried to stop her. The prosecutor addressed it directly, saying there was strong evidence in this case. Surveillance footage that captured the defendant running over the victim, and that it certainly looked intentional, as she was accelerating even though the victim was in front of the car with his hands up. I said what I said. His hands were up, and she accelerated. Michaela Bahi was charged with 3 felonies, second-degree murder, leaving the scene of a fatal accident, and theft of a motor vehicle. Because Norris Taft's car, the same vehicle used to end his life, had been registered in his name. She took it, she used it, and she left him in that lot. Prosecutors flagged her as a flight risk immediately, and given that she had already taken a shuttle to another city the morning after the killing, it was hard to argue otherwise. Her bond was set at $1 million cash only. During a court appearance, Michaela tried to invoke power of attorney for her 6-year-old daughter, saying her child was with her mother in Flagstaff and needed someone to act on her behalf legally. It was a brief but striking moment. A woman facing a murder charge, in the middle of a courtroom, trying to make arrangements for her little girl. Her next court date was set, and she remained behind bars. Norris Taft's family set up a fundraiser to help cover his funeral costs. That is where things stood for the people who loved him, not thinking about court dates or charges or surveillance footage, just trying to figure out how to bury their person, how to say goodbye to a man who went on a date and never came home. His daughter Brianna said something in the middle of all of this that has stayed with me. She said, "It's just honestly hard to even fathom. It sounds like this is just like a story that you read that never actually happens to anybody you know, and then it happens to you and it just doesn't feel real." And that right there is the part that gets you. Because this kind of story does feel like something you scroll past, something that happened to somebody else, somewhere else, far away from your life, until it is your father, until it is your family, until you are the one setting up a fundraiser just to cover the cost of putting him in the ground. Norris Taft was 52 years old. He had a daughter who loved him. He had a nephew he trusted enough to text when something felt wrong. He had a life. And on a Sunday afternoon, he tried to do everything right. He noticed something was off. He communicated it to the people closest to him. He tried to end the situation peacefully. And it still was not enough to save him. That is the part that does not sit right. He did everything we tell people to do. He trusted his gut. He told somebody. He tried to walk away. And he still ended up in that parking lot, standing in front of his own car with his arms out, just trying to make it stop. We talk all the time about staying safe out here, about trusting your instincts when something feels off. And Norris did that. He felt it. He said it out loud. He took steps. And the situation still caught up with him in a way that no amount of caution could have fully prevented. Because he was dealing with someone who made a choice. A deliberate, conscious choice. That is the conversation this case opens up. Not just about dating apps, though yes, please be careful out there. But about what happens when the person on the other side of that choice does not care about your life the way you care about your own. Norris deserved to come home that Sunday. He deserved to read his nephew's texts back, laugh about the wild date he survived, and keep living. That is what he deserved. Moving on, because we also have to say this. If you or someone you know is experiencing violence in a relationship or a situation that feels unsafe, please reach out. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is available around the clock. You can call or text 1-800-7-997-233. You do not have to navigate that alone. And to Norris Taft's family, his daughter Brianna, his nephew, everyone who loved him, this channel sees you. His story will not be forgotten here. Rest easy, Norris.